Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be. I'd like to welcome you today to this reading, since I will be reading a passage from my dream journal. It is the very first of its kind. So, without further ado, let's just jump into it, and I hope you enjoy. I remember walking down a short and narrow passage. There is water splashing around my ankles as I walk. I open a glass door with a curved metal door handle. There is a mountain-shaped protrusion in the corner of this huge white room where people can sit and relax on these blue cushioned seats that are placed inside a scooped-out part of this wall protrusion. I see that the cushions are soaked with water, and the water flows over the chests and shoulders of the people as they sat reclined, enjoying the embryonic warmth of the waters. There is more, but I would like to start from the beginning with detail. I'm in a dark room, and there is steady chatter. I'm sitting on a couch or sofa with velvety blankets and plush pillows. Behind me, there is a large and long display cabinet entirely made of glass. I remember the knobs to open the cabinet with were frosted, and somehow I knew that even the nails and hinges were made of glass. A display cabinet of pure glass and glass only. It had a mirrored background. Inside it had about 4 levels of glass shelves where small and medium-sized dolls and trinkets were placed. Lining the outside cabinet were these tiny Christmas lights, just a string of multicolored LED Christmas lights. But the inside of this glass display was being illuminated with bluish-white LED lights. This all stood out in the dark, as you can imagine. And as I sat there, I glanced around. I didn't know many people here. Here were friends and family of Anna, Andrea, and Dave. I felt only a little left out, but I didn't mind because the trinkets were keeping me company. I liked sitting next to this luminous attraction. I turned around to look at the display and noticed that the window pane was slightly open. I reach inside and pick up a small trinket doll. Something strange begins to happen. The dolls inside the cabinet take on a life of their own. They become animated. A few people saw this and gathered in front of me to see. I start talking, but I can't remember what I said. A young woman, whom I presume to be the owner of the house, starts talking to me about the dolls. She tells me of their origin and history. I take a whitish blue trinket doll from the display. It was made of wood, a light-colored wood. It had a smooth, spherical wooden head about the size of a medium marble that can fit snug in your palm. Its body was thick and pyramidal in shape. The wooden head was at the top of its pyramidal body. It was approximately 5.5 inches long and about 7 to 8 inches in diameter. These are rough estimations. It wore a baby blue cloth around its body like a tunic, and a silvery halo made of tinsel. Something happened as I sat there holding this wooden angel in my hands. It began to spin wildly. There were suddenly colorful light flashes before my eyes, and my arms shook as this contraption spun faster, like a top spinning at top speed. The entire scene changed. This was now feeling like a dream within a dream. There is a subtle, blurry softness to everything I'm seeing, and there is a soft white vignette at the edges of this vision. I was inside a supermarket with a warehousey feel, and I say, "Hey, I know this place. This is Smart and Final." My recollection is a bit hazy here, but I remember walking with two people, an androgynous hermaphroditic mother and a man that I heavily presumed to be my father. My memory begins to get really foggy here as this dream within a dream delves into even more bizarre detail. I do remember feeling watched over by this trinket doll. I feel like this trinket doll was responsible for this bizarre vision or sub-dream I was having. My father had a missing ear that appeared to be chewed off by his arch nemesis. My senses then became slow, numb, and distorted, so I couldn't register the fantastic event that was happening in front of me. It was like viewing the world through a clear, viscous glaze and hearing everything as if you were immersed in water. I hear distorted Gregorian chanting, then some kind of battle ensues, and my father takes back his ear, leaving his enemy on the ground as a pathetic pile of skin. My mother and father then strolled away side by side, proud, confidently, and victoriously. As they went, they were pushing a grocery cart into a tunnel of brilliant white light that flashed into existence. The light source expanded wider and wider as they advanced closer to it. Then finally, they entered and vanished. The brightness of the light grew in intensity as the scene came to an end. I became blinded from the light. I woke up from my sub-dream to find myself still holding the spinning trinket. The woman next to me turned the trinket off by gently placing her hand on it, then took it from my hands. A small gathering of people were staring at me. I realized that my lips were moving. I was talking, but I couldn't hear my voice. Perhaps I was telling everyone what I was seeing? I don't know. I could imagine what I looked like from the perspective of one of the people watching me as I had this vision. White light pouring out of my eyes, ears, nostrils, and mouth as I spoke a mile a minute about these bizarre things I was witnessing in my mind, within my mind. I studied their faces and saw that they were fascinated with what I had been saying. I feel the muscles on my face pull back, and a feeling of well-being envelops me. I am smiling and content. The transition to the next scene is a blur, but now I am outside. It is the late afternoon, and the sky above my head is a dusty blue. I am standing on a bridge street above a freeway. There is traffic below, but the cars are frozen in place. I think nothing of it. I'm saying goodbye to Dave and Anna. Then I rollerblade away. I am now on a street that is a blend of my hometown and streets from another town. ABC Spa is across the street from where I am standing. Sarah and Andrea are standing behind me, and we're all on rollerblades. We're standing directly in front of another spa. It is a small and cozy spa which, from the outside, was covered with lush ivies and bougainvilleas. I feel like I've been to this place before. We enter the small, earthy, cozy spa. I remember the door being a heavy wooden door. It was dark in color, and it had a small rectangular window near the top of it that one could look out from but not into. The handle was made of pewter and was in the shape of a lion's paw. As I stepped inside, I was simultaneously entering through the front door and the side door. When I entered through the front door, my rollerblades instantly vanished and my clothes evaporated into the air. I felt instantly at peace and became blissful. No need for clothes in this dimly lit, steamy sanctuary of tranquility. There were 2 low wooden benches to my left, which appeared to be soaked and dripping with water. Odd, I thought. About 9 feet across from me was the receptionist's desk. The receptionist was an older white woman whose age could have been anywhere from 40 to 65. I couldn't really tell her age because, although she had some fine lines on her face and had graying hair, her white alabaster skin was firm and dewy. She radiated a proud seniority. I proceeded to walk to the front desk. The other me that entered through the side entrance was not aware of the front door me entering through the front door. It was like 2 time parallels overlapped, and the 2 transparent me's became a solid one as they both came to a stop at the front desk. I hope that makes sense. The walls of the spa was a terracotta color. It must have been red clay. It resembled the inside of an adobe. It was warm. As I glanced around, something snagged my attention. At the foot of the front desk, just to the right of it, there was a deep fissure in the ground. This crevice was about maybe 5 feet in length and 2 feet of width at the surface opening. Inside was a nude woman covered in mud. Just looking at the inside of this crevice was making me feel claustrophobic. She was casually slathering her slim body with mud as she slowly swayed from side to side. She was covered in this glistening brown mud from head to toe. Even her face was covered, except for her eyelids. It looked like she was 2 to 3 feet into the earth, just below the surface of the floor. There were turquoise and yellowish orange lights emanating from the depths below this vertical cave. The lights softly illuminated her mud-covered body, and they gently pulsated as if to the beat of a heart. There was a small cascade of aquamarine-colored water that ran quietly beside her. I was fascinated. My claustrophobic fear subsided as Mud Woman looked up at me and sweetly smiled. That looks like it's good for the skin, I thought. Maybe I'll get in later. I was afraid that the front desk woman would ask me for a membership or some VIP approval, so I promptly turned around and walked towards the cubby holes where folks placed their belongings in. I stuffed my rollerblades and backpack, even though I was unaware of even carrying a backpack. There was a short pathway in front of me, and at the end of it was a glass door. I made my way down the pathway and opened up the door and entered inside. I was in a large, well-lit steam room, and the floor was covered in a shallow, warm water that reached up to my shin. The ceiling was about 200 feet high. Everyone inside looked like they were from the late 80s to early 90s. I looked around for a place to just lounge around. I turned a corner and I saw a light-skinned African-American man wearing sunglasses and with two women at his sides. He looked like a rapper with a gold chain around his neck and gold teeth and a high-top fade haircut. I felt weird, so I turned around and went back to the entrance. I wanted to submerge my entire body into these warm, healing waters, but I couldn't find what I was looking for. It was frustrating not finding this privacy. It felt so 90s in there. This is when I noticed how large the protrusion from the corner of this vast room was. It was the same off-white color as the walls, and it was roughly pyramidal in shape. The surface resembled the side of a rocky cliff, but the rocky bulges were smooth and not jagged. This mountainous protrusion felt like fiberglass. There were scoops in this fiberglass mountain with blue cushions nestled in them. An arrogant young man that was sitting near the top suggested I try sitting in one of the cavities. That guy had a neon pink baseball cap and plastic black Wayfarers. That was the last I saw of him. So I decided sitting in one was better than nothing and that I might as well relax somewhere. I climbed the smooth steps and made myself comfortable in the little half-spherical nook. Privacy at last. Warm water poured over my chest and shoulders and pooled at my pelvic area. The water was perfect. It was all so lovely, but for some reason unknown, I decided to leave. Next thing I knew, I was exiting the door. I was standing in that pathway again. I looked down and take a small notice that the floor is tiled with different shades of brown, orange, and red. I quietly muse, American Southwest colors. I take a few steps forward and reach for another glass door to open. I enter a medium-sized room with a low ceiling and brown clay walls. There was an older teenage girl sitting on the ground. The water was up to her abdomen, and she seemed emotionally distant and upset. I said nothing to her. I wanted to give her space. It was just me and her. I walked over to the far end of the room where a smooth cascade of water poured out from a vertical slit in the wall, a design that looked sleek and modern. The door to the room swung open, and an older teenage boy dressed in skater clothes began to yell and point at the girl and accuse her of something. I don't know of what, because his words sounded muffled to me. He made lewd, masturbatory gestures at the girl, tauntingly, sardonically. Her anger, shame, and humiliation emanated into the air, and I accidentally inhaled her negative sentiments. I'm tired of the people around me, so I decide to leave the room. I wander into the lobby. It looked like the same as it did when I first entered, except there was no one around. A bit eerie. I decide to check out and visit that ABC spa across the street. I remember the mud woman. I look over and the fissure is gone. Where did she go? Did the ground swallow her up? I glance up, and there, next to the front desk, is a woman inside a crescent-shaped tube that extends from the ground to the ceiling. She is immersed in a clear liquid with algae and balls of moss floating around. There is a bluish-white light faintly illuminating the top and bottom of this tube. "Fascinating," I whisper out loud. "Must be good for the skin." The woman is in the fetal position and has her eyes closed. Her hair is long and dark red, almost burgundy. Her hair is floating upwards and gently swirling around. Her skin is pale white with a translucent quality. You can faintly make out the blue veins in her forehead and neck and around her eyes. She looks so peaceful, so serene. I continue to marvel at what strange thing this is. I lean in closer to the tube to get a better look at her face. She opens her eyes, and in my head, I hear a distant, "Help me." She's drowning, and this is where I wake up. Hello, dear listener. I truly hope that you enjoyed listening to that. If you made it all the way to the end. I know it's kind of long, but I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Like I said, this is going to be the first of its kind. So, stay tuned if you enjoyed this one and you want to listen to another one. But it's getting late here. It's 2:02 and I'm about ready to go to bed. So, once again, thank you for listening if you stuck around till the end. Well, I'd like to wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good night, whatever time you may be listening to this. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye and sweet dreams.